Hi, everyone. My name is Promise Cross. I'm a student athlete at Florida Atlantic University. I also, on the side, enjoy runway modeling. I do a little bit of commercial as well. Um, Other than that, I really just enjoy sports, and I love spending time with my family.
Diversified game. Learn how to start, run, and sustain your business.
Hey, it's Kellen, and today on Diversified Game, you guys know I love as a sports agent, as a consultant business manager, talking about NIL, name, image, and likeness deals. Love talking to athletes, whether they are professional or now it's almost like everybody can be professional. Isn't that a beautiful thing? You don't have to be broke in school. Other school makes millions. You don't have to be broke. But today we are featuring Promise Cross. And I know that name sounds legendary. It's on its way. That name is like when her parents picked that name, it's like, whoa, Promise Cross. Can you see the branding? I can. So welcome, Promise. How are you doing today?
Thank you. I'm great today. How are you, Kellen?
Blessed by the best as always. And let's talk. I'm talking NIL deals, and you know what it is to be now a student athlete and the freedom that you have. What did that mean to you when the name, image, and likeness deals became, legal?
For me, I saw that as strictly opportunity. I saw that as a way to um, make a new name for myself outside of sports, and really just focus on making connections in the modeling world, in whatever industry I can be tied to with that for NIL. So, yeah, I really just saw that as a big opportunity for athletes around the world. I think it's a beautiful thing. And I am super excited to start as well.
Okay. And I think you were in school when it became legal. So were you also you were running track, of course, before that. Was it something that like when that became a legal thing that everybody was like, yes, 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 and people were waiting for it? Or did it just kind of strike you all at once in one day and someone said, hey, we can get paid now?
So, my experience was that we had like a team meeting at the time. And they basically just told us, hey guys, like there's this new NIL law that allows student athletes to make money from brands and businesses who want to partner them, sponsor them. Um, and at first, it seemed really, really exciting. It seemed like a huge opportunity for all of us at the time. And then I think at the time they said that it was up to us to reach out to brands and build those connections and those contracts with people. So I think that's more so what limited a lot of people in that area. But I know they recently made it to where your coaches and some higher ups um, in sports are now able to connect you to those businesses and those brands that want to work with you in NIL. So I think that's a great opportunity. And yeah, I know like things can be difficult sometimes, but there's a lot more opportunity where that comes from. So.
Did they give any type of training as far as, if you get this money, you need to declare this money, you need to, pay your taxes? Was there anything like that given?
So no, they did not really go into that much detail at the moment. I think it was still not a very well-known thing that was going on. And so when they did tell us about it, they kind of just gave us an idea of what it was and said to us that if we were able to connect with businesses and brands for any NIL deals, to just bring it to them. And then from there on, we would get any more details that we needed to know, rules and regulations that come with it. Um, and stuff like that. So there wasn't too much detail in the beginning whenever it first came out, but they always let us know that if something were to come up, to bring it to them, and they would get it figured out from there.
Okay. And bring it to them before you get paid, or was it something like a filter system, like bring it to us so we can get a cut and handle it? Like, what did that mean? Bring it to them.
So I think they were really just trying to say, like, before you sign anything, before you really commit to anything or get any money from anyone, bring it to us just so we can make sure that you're not breaking any rules or regulations, and doing everything properly so that you are still eligible to compete, in the season.
Okay. Now, most students probably weren't going to read the rules like that and say, look, somebody's trying to pay me and
Yeah.
I'm hungry. Do you even remember grazing through the rules and saying, let me read these and see what I can and can't accept? And if did anything strike you if you did?
I never read the rules. I think at the time I had a lot going on, and NIL was something I was like hearing about that was big right now. And I think maybe a lot of us just expected more deals to come to us, than us having to go out and search for them. So um I really didn't read into it very much. I just kind of like took it in and kept it moving. So
Okay, okay. Well, if you guys, this is why agents and you know family, friends that can help you, because there are records, there are forms. It is kind of the wild, wild west, but there are, forms. And I'll tell you, athletes out there who are listening, because this is diversified game. We give real game. We don't have any overnight, oh, we just became successful because, we were talented, skilled, or pretty. But one of the forms that you might want to look at is like a 1099 NEC. If anything is over $600 or more, the same way, if like now Cash App, if you were braiding hair, you have to declare these things because, of course, they want to know about your $600 or more. They got to, the government has to nitpick into that. And depending on your deals, there's various things, but this is why agents exist. It's about people finding the agents and the managers who they trust, who they can work with, because everybody's crazy nowadays, and you got to match your crazy. Now, with the NIL deals and your modeling, were you able to, do more, or is modeling kind of seen as like a part-time job and you kind of can separate it because you're not actually mixing in your sports? How is that working for you thus far?
So for me personally, I have made track my number one focus, and that is because it is my job first. I am a scholarship athlete, so I have to be committed to the track first. For modeling, that was kind of just a side quest that I've always wanted to try out. I did my first show, I want to say the summer after I graduated high school, and it was beautiful for me. It was an amazing experience. And from there on out, I knew that was what, I wanted to focus on outside of track. Um, but I will say, like, track season is almost like all year long. So there's really not a lot of time for side quests and, different things you want to try, during the season. So for me, modeling was just something to do whenever I wasn't at the track. It was a way to make friends, make connections, and just have a good time, like doing something I enjoy. So yeah, it was just a little side quest overall. Track has been my main focus for my 4 years.
Okay. And when did you fall in love with track?
Um, that is a really good question. Um, I think sports in general is something that you have to continue to fall in love with, um, over and over again, because it is so difficult, and you have so many different you have so many different areas in your life where you can be up at one time and you can be really down at another. So I think really what it is just finding finding your motivation like all over again. Like every time you take a L, you remember the reason you started in the first place. And for me, that was when I won my first state championship in high school. Um, I believe it was my freshman year or sophomore year. I can't really remember. But I just remember going for, my first couple years and having the time of my life, and all of my family was there to support me. Um, and I think it's just those special moments that keep you going and um, are the reason you're able to persevere through those hard times and those injuries and difficult times in your life. So I don't really think I have one specific time that I fell in love with track. I think it's just a journey that continues to grow like throughout time.
And was track something to my kind of just pass time, or did you find that you could, smoke and hurdle everybody in school and said somebody found you and said, "Hey, I think you should come run." Like how did you know that this was going to be something that I want to try?
So I was originally a basketball player my entire life. My dad was a great athlete, four-sport athlete, as well as my brother. And basketball has just kind of always been in our family. My brother's basketball coach came to me when I was in middle school, and he was the high school track coach at the time, and he told me that I should try track because I was like quick and just really athletic at a young age. And so I believe it was my eighth grade year. I tried track for the first time, and I ended up doing the high jump. Um, that was my main event, and I went to state that year and scored fifth my eighth grade year. So I think that was just like a major accomplishment. And after that, like people knew I was good at basketball, but I think after that, that's when I started getting attention for track. And it was very evident that track was going to bring me farther than anything else I tried. So that's kind of how I made that decision to choose track in college.
And how did you pick? Because so many athletes, and I grew up in a time where you had prime time and Bo Jackson, and you couldn't tell me to pick. I want to do all the sports until life will pick for you what you aren't and can do. But how did you say, this is going to take me further and just juggle? Because at the same time, you have like the WNBA coming up higher and higher. Was it a height thing? Was it that my three-pointer just wasn't as good as my hurdle? What was it?
So really it was just people in my ear, like in all honesty. It was my friends, my family, my coaches, my teachers, my friends, like it was everyone in my ear telling me like how much better I was at track. And so also I had an AAU coach in high school who was like a second dad to me. He is really the one who got me connected to college coaches. Um, he's the one who really like made me believe that I could go a lot farther in track than any other sport. Um, and so yeah, he we kind of made that decision together and talked out my options um, early, as well as with my parents. And yeah, I think it was just like very clear that track was going to bring me farther than basketball or soccer.
Okay. And you guys, I asked that because she's 5'8", so she's tall for a woman, but she's not 6'5" and 6'4" like some of the women that I know who, when I go out there and thinking I'm going to do something, and I don't know why I think I'm going to do something. If you catch me on the track field, promise I'm going to try to compete. Like, let's go. But but
Yeah.
yeah, but so that's why I was asking about that. With you have this love for the sport. You talk about going now to the next level, the collegiate level, which is something that I tell people just keep trying. Even if you're not good like me, you can get that to that level. Somewhere will take you. But I mean, you, I think, first went to Toledo, if I'm not mistaken. I want to know, going to Toledo and then using the portal to come down, how was that? Because that's the thing that's pissing people off. And it's not anything like people haven't transferred before, but now with social media, it's just it's in your face. How was that transition from Toledo to, Florida, and why did you make the transition?
So I love that question. Toledo, in my opinion, was a starting spot for me. I believe my whole collegiate career has been very spiritual. I think I was placed in Toledo for a reason. And even though it wasn't for me, um, in the long run, it was for me for a time. And I think I learned a lot there. Um, I learned stability and, a lot of other things that God put on my path. So I'm always grateful. But in all, I just wasn't happy at all. And so I entered the transfer portal pretty late. Um, Ended up talking to a few coaches, but I was set on going to school in Florida. My grandparents lived in Florida, and I do have some uncles there as well. And it's just always been somewhere I've loved. I love the weather. And so for me, I was, determined to go to Florida, and I was talking to some other schools across the country, just keeping them like at my fingertip in case, nothing else worked out. And then one night I was feeling really discouraged, um, just over just over like being stressed out about wanting to get it done and wanting to leave and have everything figured out. And my friend came to me and she, just really gave me this beautiful pep talk about how, I can do anything I set my mind to. And we both sat there and we prayed, and then we got up and we texted coaches, we emailed coaches. Um, and then FAU ended up emailing me back almost immediately. And from there on, it was just a beautiful story to tell. We ended up having a meet at UNF that following week, and so with Florida Atlantic, and so the coach was able to see me compete very soon. And then after that was history. Everything was well, and I ended up signing that summer. So that was just a beautiful journey for me, and I couldn't be more grateful for them giving me the opportunity. I love where I'm at now. It's literally my dream life. So I wouldn't have had it any other way.
And I think the portal started like in 2018. So it started before the NIL deals, but I mean, people have been trying to fight for students to get paid. But it's just funny because again, people were used to students, usually finishing where they started, unless they got in trouble, unless they were a problem and you could then kick them out. So all the power was with the college, right? But and I somebody will argue with me and say, no, there were ways you might have had to sit out a season or something. But I went to even a high school where it was competitive and you might have to. And I went to school in a small Christian school to start, and it was like you're there for the love. So nobody cares if you want to transfer to go somewhere else. It's like, whatever, but there's still the NCAA rules. But do you ever feel as an athlete where, we're just kind of a pawn or a tool and not appreciated? Or has the NIL and the transfer portal, just kind of maybe have eliminated that, where I'm not just a pawn because I can go wherever I want to go?
I do believe that it started like that. But since there are so many people now advocating for, the betterment of the athletes and giving athletes what they feel they deserve, I do think a lot has changed in sports and just the way that we see the athletes now. We see them as people because now they have a voice. Um, I think before, yeah, it was more so like we were just being used in a way. Um, and I say that because as athletes, I know that's what brings a lot of money to schools, especially when you're a winning team. When you have a good city to back you up, um, and a lot of supporters behind you. So I do think, it is only right that athletes are getting what they deserve, and that's, the time, that's the money that they deserve, and the attention as well, because that attention brings opportunity. And so I think it's things have changed a lot with NIL, and the transfer portal, and I think it's only going to go up from here, especially when you have very big celebrities advocating for, other athletes, and even higher up athletes advocating for, collegiate and high school and younger levels like that. Sydney McLaughlin, Simone Biles. I think those are very big influencers right now, who are really fighting for the youth, and, fighting for um, Black women as well, and just representation, and getting what we deserve as athletes with the time and the work and the, resources that we put in. So I think, yeah, overall, it definitely used to be like a chess game, but I think it's becoming a lot more. It's becoming a lot more successful for everyone at this point now with NIL and the transfer portal.
Gotcha. And student, athlete, you're a communications major. What made you choose that major?
So I chose that major when I transferred to Florida. I was originally a business major, and I think that was a little hard for me. I really didn't have a good reason to get into communications. Um, I think it was more so just like my backup plan. But now I do see the good in that. After college, like I said, I plan to be in like the modeling industry, and still in track as well. So I pray that will, do things for me in the future. But yeah, that was just kind of like a little backup plan for me. I'm not really sure which direction I'm going to take it at the moment, but I know it will serve me soon.
Okay, and I will not set you up or mislead you, because on this show, when I talk about education, I tell people, look, I have my master's in communication. Yes, I make my living in communication, but I knew this is what I was going to do. I knew at 12 this is what I was going to do. Wrote the vision down, made it plain, was ready to go crazy,
Mhm.
stupid, and even broke to make this happen. And thank God, 2 decades after, it's worked. But I tell people, I wouldn't follow that plan because it's not the easiest road. Do nursing if you want easy. You come out, you can become a nurse, 72,000, 75,000,
Yeah,
same time that, less
yeah,
time than I put in. So I just put that out there for everyone listening, because so many people want to do communications and have this big dream of, doing Fox or CNN, and that's going to happen for a very select few. Same as going to the Olympics or something. So to have your backup plans and know what you can kind of control and build for yourself is a beautiful thing. Just that, so you're not like, what's next? And what's next with you? Tell us what's next. Yeah, the track season, it's coming up. You've had a good time in Kentucky. I'm sure Moorhead has, they've appreciated you, ready to rise you up like this. But what's next, coming up for this year and next?
So this upcoming year for me, I believe I will be in a different headspace, and having some different goals for myself. Um, in track, I have written down very specific goals that I want to accomplish, and is that is within a couple events, that I do because I did do the multi at one time, and I think, from here on out, what dive into is going to change a little bit, um, because I'm going to be having more training. I also am coming back from a surgery, so I am working on recovery as well. That is going to be a big priority for me this upcoming year, as well as NIL, making money, and really just getting my brand out there, um, making more connections, and yeah, just grinding this year. Like this is going to be my year of focus and growth. So I'm just really excited for that.
No, that's great. Any plans in those written plans of product? You know, there's always brands that come and say, "Hey, will you wear this? Will you put this in your hair, this eyeshadow?" But are there any products that you're thinking of that you say, you know what, I think I could make my own blankety blank?
Um, there's no specific product. I think maybe that's something that's a bridge I'll cross when I get there. I think right now more so my focus is to just like get in the game and see how everything works. Um there's nothing specific I want to tie myself to because I know God will bring me what I need for a time. So yeah, I don't see anything very specific, but I am just excited for opportunity and excited to see who wants me, um, and not necessarily who I want. So yeah.
Okay. And I mentioned Moorhead. You know, when people hear Kentucky and you say you're from Kentucky, they probably look and say, "What? You're from Kentucky? Like where were you hiding?" Talk about talk about that upbringing in Kentucky. I know you said your mother is Puerto Rican, your dad is black, you know, and we were talking about, you know, how in South Florida that could mean you're five different things. But how was it growing up in Moorhead? Are there a lot of, you know, people who are of diverse backgrounds, or is it really white like Oregon and some parts of, you know, Washington State?
Hello, everyone. Join us on an exciting journey with Explore the World Cameroon. London and Sydney go take you explore Cameroon, the heart of Africa. Experience the vibrant culture, nature, and traditions from Yaoundé Market to rainforest adventures. Every page na new discovery. Join the Cameroonian food, music, and wildlife with our explorers. This book na true celebration of Cameroon spirit. Get your copy now. Available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and through your library and bookstores via Ingram's Park. Don't miss this adventure.
So Moorhead is very white. All good-hearted people, though. I think it's a great place to grow up, um, and a great place to leave at the same time. Um, Moorhead, I believe, has taught me like more lessons that I would have known anywhere else. I think it gave me a feeling of home, for a long time, and it was somewhere. It was a small community. It was a small town, so it also, in my opinion, like almost put me on a pedestal to give me that confidence to reach out and go in the world and conquer other places. So I'm forever grateful to Moorhead for that. It's a very nice city, I will say. Moorhead's growing very fast, and like I know people have a most likely a negative connotation whenever you hear like Kentucky, but I love Kentucky and I will stand by it over and over again. Um, I love Florida as well, and I plan to be in Florida for a very long time. but Kentucky is always my home, and I always love going back and seeing my family and seeing my old friends. So, yeah.
Okay, and I wanted you to, brag on your city and your state if it was braggable, because there are those places in the US where I guess if you're in New York or California, where I'm from, and people say Kentucky, but people from California will say that about Texas, and it's like, stop it. You know how big Texas is?
Yeah.
Whatever you're thinking, you can drive somewhere and find something else that will love or even hate even more. But that's just sometimes when you're dealing with people on the coast, how they act, especially if they haven't gone many places and are ignorant to travel. Has sports allowed you to travel, and where's the furthest place that you've gone, as well as your favorite place that you've gone?
Ooh, my favorite place. Sports has allowed me to travel a lot. In high school, I was a three-sport athlete, so I did track, basketball, and soccer. So we traveled for all three of those. Um, I got to experience, some nice cities. I really didn't get to go too far until I started my track AAU team, and I think the furthest we went was New York. We traveled to New York City, and it was a super fun experience with some great people that I hadn't known before that. So that was probably the farthest I've gone. Um, the best experience I've had with traveling, I would say, was I want to say truly the funnest time I ever had traveling was when I was still in Toledo and I went to the University of North Florida meet, and I met my coach now here at Florida Atlantic. We got a chance to talk, and I had a pretty good day that day, better than I had been competing, and it was just a really exciting time for me because I was so ready for change. And yeah, I think that was probably like the most of fun I've had at a meet or traveling somewhere. I just had a really good experience with the coach, and was really excited for a new beginning.
Okay, no, that's awesome. And for anybody, sometimes I can hear, people shouting at the screen, saying, "Hey, Kentucky isn't, bad. Come do a show there." Hey, I'll come do a show anywhere you guys are paying to book. And I mean that, from Kentucky to Pakistan. Ask about me. But also, if you guys want your talent back and don't want the brain drain, Moorhead, I think when I had looked it up, was like 7,000 and something people. That's not too many votes. If you want your mayor to come back, promise cross for mayor, then to Congress, you guys put the money behind it, you put the support and say, come on back. And maybe she'll come back and, run for some office. But yeah, first the money has to be there.
Right.
Um, you know, but no, that's it's good. It's good to talk about your places. Out, we have the sports. You're a student still. You're a model. Family is very big to you. What's how do you put all that together? Is it a calendar? Are you still working on your time management? Because you don't have many like slip ups that you can do. You can't miss the plane, you can't miss the bus, you can't miss class, you can't miss the shoot. How do you, and this is a teachable moment for someone out there who might be 14 or even 44, how do you organize yourself?
So, my biggest piece of advice for organization is to accept help. I think that is the number one thing that has gotten me through college. I've always been someone who's very independent because I was forced to be at a young age. But I think once I got to college and realized how hard these things are, especially when you don't have a lot of people in your life to show you, and they just kind of tell you about it, I think one of the most difficult things to do is accept that you struggle in those areas, and allow people to get you through it whenever you can't get yourself through it. So I can't sit here and say I do this by myself, because I don't. I have a whole line of people behind me cheering me on and, picking me up every time I fall and just like pulling me along. My family is my biggest support system. My academic advisor has been just a true angel. She's gotten me through so many hard, difficult times. And that's not just when it comes to class and sports, but it's outside of that also. It's your personal life. It's, when work is overwhelming you, or you're having family issues, or whatever the case may be. Like, I've had a lot of people supporting me, my coaches as well. It's really just about surrounding yourself with people who genuinely care about you and not what you have to offer. I think that is the biggest, the best thing that you can do for yourself if you are in this position. So yeah, I think really it's just about the people around you, that help you get through it, whenever you fall and don't know how to get back up sometimes. And yeah.
Okay. And never think as an athlete, or if you guys are out there as talent, that all these people are helping you. You have those angels in your life who are like, yeah, want to help. But even your family members, let them hear you got a big contract. I promise you, life will be lifing, and folks will start telling you about ailments that you have never heard of in your life. They'll tell you what they changed that diaper. So always in your head, because don't tell them now, hey,
Yeah.
when I make it, you'll make it. Don't do that, because that's the quickest way of going broke. You can't
Yeah.
bring everybody up.
With you.
Yeah, ask Andrew Rison or so many other athletes who you try to bring the whole crew. Allen Iverson, ask them. You can't bring everybody up all at once. Put the mask on first, the pilot said. Let the people know. And this is going to be for you a question that it might be for the future, because you
Mhm.
still are a student. Like I told you over the phone, as a student, you can still afford to be broke. But what is your community give back that you're doing or that you would like to do in the future?
I think the number one thing I would want to give to my community is really just like my love. I want to give them my appreciation, because although I did feel like I went through a lot in my city, just because of the people I was around at times, and the way things were with my family. It was very difficult. But for me, more so, I would love to give them representation more than anything, because I feel like it is a heavily growing city. Um, we were very small and very unheard of, Moorhead, but it is a place that is being more acknowledged every day. I actually know a few people in Florida who have heard of my town, and that was completely unexpected. My strength coach is actually from the same city as me, so I thought that was so cool. But yeah, I think the one thing I would want to give my city is really just representation and like the acknowledgement that it deserves, because so many people have such a negative idea of like small town, like, all white people, like, um, and it was difficult at times, but in all, I think it was a beautiful place to grow up, and I think it's a very loving community, overall, and I think they deserve like a lot more credit than they're given. So, yeah.
And who hasn't heard about the big M? More, you know,
Surprise.
yeah. And and what we always have to remember here in the sometimes divided states of America is this is a melting pot of everybody. So if you don't like a place that's, a melting pot, and some places are going to have more of this and more of that, but everybody needs to be able to get along or tira la puerta. There's other places you can go and be around whatever you want to be around, just the wolves and the bears. There's places, that you can go, but especially don't judge a place before you go, because that's just ignorant. Whether it's Mexico again or Palestine, Pakistan, any place in Africa, name any country. So no, this is good game. This is game that, this is the start. I hope that Promise and I have some other things while she comes off her injury and getting back into the game. We're able to do some more things, but I wanted to give you guys that access to a student athlete in the game, making it happen, not crazy, not, making negative headlines, and possibly Moorhead, Kentucky's next mayor, then Congress member, if she so chooses, and if they fund that. Any last words for the people that you want to leave and where they can connect with you?
My Instagram is Promise Cross, as well as what do they call Twitter now?
X.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
my Twitter. Yeah, follow me, get to know me. I have been posting a lot more recently, so I'm super excited to just, get out in the world and show people who I am and all the love that I have to give and, the talent that God's given me. I'm just really appreciative of this opportunity, and I hope you guys got something from it. Yeah, and if you're ever doubting it, I believe in God with my whole heart and soul. And I really think he's gotten me this far in my journey. And I'm just so appreciative of it. So pray about it if you're ever going through something that you feel is just too much. You always have the Lord. So
Amen, amen, amen. And before you go, I want to tackle something, because I could see someone say, well, how does modeling and faith go? Because a lot of people, everybody's faith is different, but just so we knock out and so people can kind of know even one more thing about you before you, put it on your YouTube and go viral. But people will say, well, I don't know how I can model. And because I know models who are Islamic, and they say, I can only do the hijab modeling now. I can no longer get into my bathing suit, bikini, because on Sunday I can't be in my robe or what. How do you deal with that? Because I know the haters come. I know, Abuela or somebody, Dia, is whispering in the ear and saying, baby, I don't know about this modeling. It's the work of the devil, which I told you what I think about, this whole entertainment business, period. But there are some good people in it. But there's probably more good people than bad. But the bad ones always make the news. How do you tackle that and say, this is what I'm going to do and this is what I'm not going to do as a believer?
So that's a very good question. I believe that God wouldn't give me this passion if it wasn't for me to utilize. And I know modeling can be a slippery slope at times, but I do think it really is how you represent yourself. And it's really just about like leading in God's direction and what he has for you, because there are a million good opportunities out there, but like you said, it's the bad ones that like make the headlines. So like it's really important to have people around you to see that in you whenever you do seem to be you know going in a direction that you probably shouldn't. And for me, that's been my sister. It's been my mom. Um, and yeah, I think it's really just about like knowing what you're comfortable with, listening to your gut all the time, because when you link up with someone to do a shoot and it turns out not happening the way you had expected, or things become a little weird. You get those sometimes, but you have to keep going, you have to persevere, you have to just really be able to decipher like um you know how you go about things after that. You have to be confident in yourself to be able to say no at times, and really stand on your decision. um modeling is something that can lead you in a different direction a lot of times than what you had hoped. But it's also something that can bring you to a place that you never expected as well. So yeah, I think it's really just about being super careful who you deal with, who you know, um, and also knowing when to say no. And sometimes people get these big opportunities and they think that they have to do it because it's going to make their career, but in all actuality, it's really, something that's not right for you, and something that could lead to something worse in all actuality. So yeah, I think it's really just about like trusting your gut and learning from each and every experience. And just, yeah, like having good people around you. It's so important, having good people around you to show you sometimes what you can't see. So that's the advice that I have in the modeling industry. Personally, I feel like I was steering in the wrong direction for a little bit. But I learned quickly that that's not what I wanted for myself. It's not how I wanted to represent myself and represent the people around me. So, we all make mistakes, but it's just about learning from it and, trying to be safe and trying to be better the next time. So, yeah.
And for anybody that's saying, hey, Kellen, push harder, or, well, I didn't go do that. Well, go get your overzealous self and you go keep living your life as a perfect person. Perfecto. I'm glad you got it. But the rest of us had some slip ups, had some things happen, and you don't know what happened prior to that sparked that. So, tira la puerta with all that. Yeah. So I thank you for giving the game. I usually do not ask my guests for anything, but I am asking you for one thing. If you don't do one thing for me, para mí, and I'm giving you time, because by the time you guys see this interview or you guys hear this interview, hopefully she would have got it and bought it. But promisecross.com is available. I need you to grab that now. Ahora, okay? Vale. Hey, I need you to get that now, because there's some vulture out there, and I got a little vulture in me in DC, in me, that will get that collected and try to sell it to you 10 times the price when you do have, the most uber success. So grab that now. Hold on to it. That's your name. It's a great name. And I thank you for coming on. Thank you guys for tuning in and listening. Thank you, Sydney, for my coconut water from Kirtland. You guys feel free to come sponsor all day. But I thank you guys for coming to the end, as well as liking, commenting. Most of you are listeners. Please go check out Promise on the YouTube, at least for this video, if you don't do anything else. And make sure you share the game, the most important part, because it will change somebody's life. Y'all be blessed.
Are you tired of the rat race in America? Are you ready to visit the motherland to relax and rejuvenate? Are you ready to explore all that Africa has to offer? Then check out the brand new Diversified Game Academy course, Prepare for My First Trip to Africa. Are you worried about being able to afford the trip? We got you. We will show you how to travel either on a budget or as a baller. Learn how to stress the value of the USD. Did you know that 100 United States dollars is worth over 1,000 South African rand, or 10,000 Kenyan shillings, or 54,250 West African CFA? Are you worried about taking your kids? Get the game from Kellen Cash, a bona fide world traveler, having traveled to almost 20 countries, several of those in Africa. Get the game on taking your kids on their first trips. Learn how to find the best tickets, get the visas, and plan your own adventures in Africa. Don't let Eddie Murphy have all the fun. Plan your own coming to Africa trip starring you, produced by you, and featuring you. If you are ready for a life-changing experience, sign up for our course today, Diversified Game Academy. Get prepared and purchase at diversifiedgame.com.